Welcome to Team Fortress 2. After 9 years in development, hopefully it will have been worth the wait. To listen to a commentary node, put your crosshair over the floating commentary symbol and press your primary fire. To stop a commentary node, put your crosshair over the rotating node and press the primary fire again. Some commentary nodes may take control of the game in order to show something to you. In these cases, simply press your primary fire again to stop the commentary. In addition, your secondary fire will cycle you through all of the commentary nodes in the level. Please let me know what you think after you have had a chance to play. I can be reached at gaben@valvesoftware.com, and my favorite class is the Spy. Thanks, and have fun.
Incoming!
To accommodate the Scout class, maps need open spaces that allow Scouts to double jump along paths that the other classes can't navigate. This area features a variety of rooftops and rocks that a Scout can traverse while staying above any non-Scout opponents. Scouts often use their speed advantage to retreat and collect health, so here we force them to adopt some risk by placing the health inside a small enclosed area where they sacrifice some freedom of movement.
For soldiers, we design spaces with specific attention to height. Soldiers generally want to be shooting down at the opponents to maximize the effect of their rocket splash damage. The rooftop here gives them that advantage. It can also only be reached with the soldier's rocket jump, making it generally inaccessible to the other classes. Because of the splash damage from a rocket jump, soldiers have to trade health for the height advantage. This trade-off, coupled with the lack of health on the roof, lets us make the rooftop a powerful advantage without unbalancing the map, since soldiers will need to rely on medics down below to keep them healthy.
When designing areas for high levels of combat, we try to avoid complexity and chaos. Complex geometry confuses players, making it hard for them to track enemies and interfering with their movement and aiming during combat. The most chaotic combat tends to occur when the size of the room fails to support the number of players fighting in it. In this final area of the map, we wanted a free-form battle to rage for some time before anyone could achieve a decisive victory. To achieve this, we built a wide-open area with several entrances and gave players a variety of attack and defense options at various heights. Rather than depend on elevators and ladders, we relied on ramps, since these allow freedom of movement at all times instead of confining players. Through playtesting, we made many changes to the dimensions of the room, the size of cover elements, and the size of the entrances, thus ensuring the area could accommodate a battle of many players.
Height is a useful feature when designing defensible buildings. For instance, the Cap B building needs to be defended from all directions. The height and windows on all sides give defenders in this building an advantage when launching rockets and grenades from within. Bulletproof glass in some windows lets them safely view approaching enemies.
Bulletproof glass is a useful design tool in strongly defended areas such as around control points. It gives the offensive team a chance to see enemy defenders and sentry gun positions, while affording the defensive team a good view of the gathering attackers. This is often crucial for the defense, if the offense is waiting for a medic's invulnerability charge.
The sniper rifle was another tricky design problem. To meet players' expectations, a sniper rifle has to be able to kill an opponent with a single shot to the head. On the flip side, we need to ensure it cannot be snap-fired from the hip with the same effect, because then, in the hands of an experienced player, it also becomes the game's most lethal short-range weapon, negating the sniper's primary weakness. To solve this, we implemented a charging damage meter that only appears when the sniper is zoomed. This solution has several beneficial side effects. The low damage both while unzoomed and at the initial zoom ensures that snipers can't kill opponents with impromptu snap fire. The charge time means snipers can deal out low damage shots quickly, or highly damaging shots at slow intervals, which allows opponents to overwhelm them with a coordinated rush. The high damage at the end of the charge rewards sniper-esque behaviors such as locating a decent vantage point and taking very deliberate shots.
Thanks! We intended Team Fortress 2 to feature many special particle effects to enhance the wide variety of weapons and class abilities. In previous versions of the source engine, all particle effects required that custom code be written by the programmers. For Team Fortress 2, we create a system where designers can rapidly create new particle systems and iteratively refine existing ones without programmer involvement. An in-game editor allows designers to edit the definitions of particle systems and immediately preview effects in the game itself. The editor also allows artists to connect modular effect building blocks to create complex visual effects. As for the particle system itself, we have offloaded many of the system calculations to the graphics accelerator, which allows us to increase the number of particles on screen without reducing the frame rate.
With its wide field of fire, the Heavy's minigun lets players who don't have great twitch aiming skills still wade into the thick of combat. To make up for this reduction in the value of the player's aiming skill, we amplify the importance of other skills. For instance, the wind-up time before firing and the Heavy's reduced speed while firing force players to learn to anticipate both the start of combat and incoming enemy attacks.
The challenge of the particle system was to create effects that were fun and visually exciting, without being so over the top that no one could read their meaning in the game. In a typical match, there are so many effects on screen at the same time that the biggest danger is visual clutter. Therefore, the effects were refined to be cleaner and simpler. Those that were most important for gameplay were made easier to see, while those that were mainly eye candy were allowed to fall into the background.
Thanks!
Invulnerability adds an element of pacing to the multiplayer experience, which otherwise tends to have fewer emotional highs and lows than a well-crafted single-player game. When an invulnerable medic and his friends come running in, it's an extreme high point for them. It's also a rush for the defenders, who know that they've just got to hold on for 10 seconds until invulnerability fades. Invulnerability also sharpens pacing by helping a team push through a defensive stalemate when the enemy team turtles up and refuses to come out of their base. Without a lack of defensive skirmishers, it's easier for the offense to build up the invulnerability charge without interruption. In addition, invulnerability is a great goal for the medic and rewards him for being an effective healer. We encourage the behavior by adding more charge when the medic is healing injured teammates than when he's healing ones who are already at full health.
In multiplayer games, the content players consume is largely generated by other players. To enhance this, we added features designed to promote relationships between players. For example, the freeze cam shot of a player's killer helps the player remember specific troublesome opponents. The Nemesis feature adds an additional reminder that certain enemies are more significant than others. It creates a small negative reinforcement loop by giving players an opportunity to score extra points with a revenge kill.
Thanks!
We first showed Team Fortress 2 at E3 in 1999, and here we are in 2007, so what took us so long? The short answer is that it took us this long to make something that we were happy with. The long answer requires a look at our development process. At its core is the assumption that we don't really know ahead of time what will be fun. We know what's been fun in the past, but if we've got 3 ideas on the table, we really can't say for sure which one will be the most fun when they're done. So we've focused on developing a repeatable process that we'll find out. It's based on a cycle of constant iteration, where evaluation is done by watching as many people play the game as possible. In developing TF2, we tried out many features, a few of which made it into the final product, but most of which were cut. For example, our initial versions of TF2 were focused on trying to build a game around the concept of a commander, a single player who had a real-time strategy view of the battlefield. He would be responsible for building structures and providing a unifying strategy for the team. But there were significant design.
Critical hits are one of the features that resulted from our focus on pacing. The critical hit system attempts to slightly influence the highs and lows of the game by increasing the chance of a critical hit based upon the player's recent performance. In summary, the better you're doing, the more likely you'll continue to do well. This helps create those rare high moments where a single player goes on a rampage and gets 3 or 4 kills in rapid succession.
The Demo Man is the most versatile combat class, capable of rapidly switching from strong offensive pushes to defensive area denial. He has the only indirect fire capability in the game, allowing him to take out sentry guns around the corner, and his sticky bombs give him a grenade jumping ability similar to that of the soldier's rocket jumps. His sticky bombs can also prevent enemies from moving through doorways, cover a retreat, and defend control points even when the Demo Man is somewhere else.
The medic is the main support class. Previous support classes we've designed had a variety of problems. They didn't require much skill because they stayed back in defended areas, which also kept them out of the funnest parts of the game. Worst of all, this meant they weren't even terribly useful because they generally weren't near the players who most needed to be healed. We designed the Team Fortress 2 medic to solve these problems, primarily by focusing on keeping them right in the thick of battle. Additionally, we designed the medigun to be as easy to use as possible, so that medics can focus on survival while healing teammates. Virtually no aiming is required, which lets medics concentrate on following their heal target, who has a huge incentive to keep his medic benefactor safe.